I want to look like this. I look more like this. I think you see the problem. It's not a secret that we're an incredibly looks-conscious society. The men and women on the billboards, in the magazines, on television, and in films, our favorite entertainers, most of them score pretty high on the attractiveness scale. Oh, we'll let a few folks slide into the fame zone on talent alone, but it's a small club. Truth is, we like to look at beautiful people. Even our fairy tales and children's cartoons tend to present us with handsome heroes and beautiful heroines. It shouldn't be too surprising that from a very early age and right on into adulthood, we want to be one of the beautiful people. So, when what we see in the mirror bears little to no resemblance to our unrealistic notions of what we want to look like, well, we've got a problem, don't we? This ego-generated tension regarding body image is both a personal and social dilemma, a burden many of us carry. Your mind tells you you are not your body, but your emotions are telling a different story. We stretch the tape measure, scrutinize our faces in the mirror, or step on the scale, and the information coming back is telling us all the ways we clearly are not Disney prince or princess material. All too often, we allow this dislike of our physical appearance to become a more expansive sense of dissatisfaction with our entire being. Buddhist author Tara Brach, in her book Radical Acceptance, calls this belief that something is fundamentally wrong with us the trance of unworthiness. The trance isn't just about bodies. We can feel shame and worthlessness about addictions, jobs lost, failed relationships, missed opportunities, secret fears, secrets kept, a lack of wealth or social status, so damn many things it makes the heart ache. At a core level, we want to be known, accepted, and valued. But if we're caught up in the trance of unworthiness, we likely aren't sharing our hidden hurts with others. We're afraid to tell our truth. What will people think of us if they know about our shame, insecurity, and anxiety? So we keep it to ourselves. We pretend we're fine among our peers, or even worse, we isolate entirely, pulling the darkness close, trying to be invisible. I know about these truth-denying coping strategies. I've lived them. You may have noticed that I'm not delivering this sermon from behind the pulpit. That is because I have not yet won this emotional battle. Let me tell you how I arrived at the trance of unworthiness. Right around my senior year in high school, I had to face reality. That much-coveted growth spurt was not happening. I was going to be stuck staring people straight in the throat, and most of the time I was going to be the shortest guy in the room. This was not a happy conclusion. Instead of facing the hard truths about what was going on inside of me, instead of doing some soul work and figuring out where personal worth really comes from, I just buried all my fears and insecurities way down deep and tried to appear not to be bothered by the fact that I was going to spend my life being a short man, living in a world that prefers tall men. No matter how hard I tried to outwardly project my okayness, inside I felt I had been permanently branded less than. I'd love to tell you that at age 57 I no longer carry that baggage. But the truth is, despite the fact that I am way ahead of most of the world's population in terms of quality of life, The hardest thing I do on any given day is to try to arrive at a place where I feel comfortable in my own skin. For me, the trance of unworthiness manifests as a more or less constant, low-level anxiety with tinges of shame and self-loathing added for good measure. I want to be taller, thinner, and better looking. But, as the great philosopher Popeye says, I am what I am. Yes, I understand that my condition of not being George Clooney, when placed on the scale of human suffering, doesn't seem like it should be such a big deal. But I have to tell you, wanting to be something you're not can be quite crippling. If you don't find a way to move beyond it, it can make you deeply unhappy. It can keep you from giving your best to those you love. It can prevent you from enjoying simple pleasures. And it can keep you from realizing the highest potential for your life. Again, these are things I know about from personal experience. So, you get it. A poor body image, mostly revolving around being short, was my entry point into the trance of unworthiness, and it continues to be a source of anxiety and pain for me. Why, though, have I bothered to write a sermon to tell you this very personal thing that's probably making you and me a little bit uncomfortable? 2 reasons. The first one is about me. I came to this church to grow as a person. The only way that's going to happen is if I tell the truth, both to myself and to you. If I'm not going to be honest about what's going on with me on a deep level, I might as well just join a bowling league, eat pizza, drink beer, and talk about sports and cars. There's no way I can be in right relation to you if I'm not sharing my truth with you. This is me doing that. The other reason I wrote this sermon is about us. This is not a bowling league. It's a church. A church that stresses values like compassion, acceptance, connection, integrity, and the inherent worth and dignity of every person. If we don't work out how to be authentic with each other here, then, in my opinion, we're missing the entire point of church. We're missing the opportunity to minister and be ministered to by being real with each other. I don't need you to hug me in the hall and tell me you're sorry that I feel bad about being short. I need you to help me see that I am, in fact, not less than. Like you, I want to be known, accepted, and valued. And I'll tell you what, if you help me just a little along that path, I'll return the favor. Because the fact is, I'm not the only person here who struggles with body image issues. I'd be surprised if it wasn't most of us to varying degrees. I'm by no means the only person in this room who spends some time every day caught up in the trance of unworthiness. Though there are as many ways to arrive there as there are shameful secrets. The beautiful thing is, we do not have to let these hurts fester in the silent dark. Shouldn't this be the place where we put on the table who we really are, what we really feel and believe, and then look to our peers, trusting that once they know us, they will accept us and value us, even with our great big pile of hurt all stacked up at our feet. Right here we can encounter the belonging that will help us see where our real worth comes from. Right here I can remind you of all the ways that you're infinitely worthy of radical acceptance. I can help you see all the things I admire about you, the gifts you bring. I can help you see how you're a beautiful person in the ways that really matter, the ways that last, the ways that multiply and extend outward to those around you, to the whole congregation, and to the entire community. And you can do the same for me. My friends, that is what church is for, as far as I'm concerned. It's for other things too, but it starts with that. That's where we get the strength to do the social justice work, the community service, the ongoing inner work to see no strangers on this earth, to see only brothers and sisters, fellow human beings of infinite worth. What we teach here at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Elgin, both in the lessons from the pulpit and in the living in the pews, should be equipping us to become lights in the world. That's hard for us to do if we're holding on to darkness. The freer we are from our heartache, the more positive energy we have to share with the world. There are some wise people who've written books that might also help us put perspective on where our worth comes from. Tara Brach, Eckhart Tolle, Sadhguru, to name a few. I've read these authors and found them to be intelligent, enlightening, and inspirational. But I have to admit that one of my greatest struggles is moving these liberating ideas from my head to my heart, which is where you come in, where we come in. I'm convinced that affirmation and validation from other real live humans is where the greatest healing comes from. It's how we get known, accepted, and valued. Breaking out of the trance of unworthiness is less about mass education and more about individual consecration. Less about lofty ideas and more about the place where all our lives intersect. A place made holy by our presence. This place. At the end of the day, the greatest gift we have to offer is ourselves. As the song we listened to earlier said, I'll just give you me.